Giving
you my all, girl, hoping that you fall for me. If it's not enough, then it's gotta count for something, baby. Gotta count for something. Giving you my all, girl, hoping that you fall for me. If it's not enough, then I can't give you nothing, baby. Giving you my all, girl, hoping that you fall for me.
All right.
What's up?
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio. I'm your host, Mr. Charles Dixon, and I'm here with my co-host, Adam Ford. How are you, sir?
What's up, fam? On a Friday evening, feeling kind of good today. Feeling kind of good. Weather's changing. It's good. We got a lot of stuff going on, don't we, sir?
Oh, Lord. All right.
Yeah. Don't even try to downplay it. Don't even. Y'all need to get your boy. Get your boy because he's trying to downplay what's going
It is
on
the
right now.
day.
Yeah.
The book came out, y'all. The book
Yeah.
is
The book is
released,
out.
and it is official
Yeah.
today. It came out as October 17th. You can go on your Amazon or wherever you're going online and buy the book. Support your boys. Support your boys. We put a lot of for real. We did put a lot of vulnerability, heart and soul, ratchet Airbnb
Charles took care of that part.
stories of old, stories of new, all kinds of things in there. So it's pretty good. I think it's a pretty good gauge. Adam and I are only two men,
Right.
but we give a collective insight thought about certain scenarios of certain. I know I put a section in there at least when it comes to like a man's truths, where I just kind of answer random host of questions, like just questions in that particular chapter. And I think a lot of those questions are probably helpful to give people some sort of a gauge of what's what. Because I try to be authentic about it. Sometimes you get a little afraid to pull the curtain up a little too much, Adam. But I did just a little bit up in the curtain. That's about it. And then Adam, of course.
Really? That's how you gonna do it?
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Bible. Anyway. Adam. He did an amazing job. He steered you in the right path, leading you from one phase to the phase that most people want to end up at, and that is the phase of covenant. So it's a good thing. You'll see. Anyway,
You know what? This dude. You know what? For somebody who has written a book, you are such a hater. You are such a hater. I don't even understand, bro. Seriously, how you gonna be on your own book?
You hate on your own book, right? Hate your own book. That's funny. Oh God.
No, but I think between the two of us, we've come up with something that is unique. And I think even more than that, I think we've come up with something that is relevant to today's time in regards to men and men's mental health, in regards to relationships. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's important for us to be able to have those voices that are out there that are accurately portraying what it means to be a man, and even more specifically to be a black man, in a relationship, and how that affects us in terms of, us being able to express our emotions and our feelings and our thoughts and our sentiments in that regard. And so my
Yeah.
hope and prayer is that when you guys get this book and you read this book, that you're able to relate to this book and you're able to glean some truth from it that you can apply to your own life.
Yeah.
That's the real vision behind this. So yeah, man, I think it was on the go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, and here's the irony of it. It may be titled in a way that you may think it's primarily for the woman, right?
Right.
But I found even reading your own words, reading Adam words, reading some of the guys in the full words,
Mhm.
this helps us
Right.
because it helps us look at how we navigate, how we may have misjudged something,
Yeah.
how we didn't necessarily react or didn't act fast enough on
Yeah.
something, didn't apologize, all those kind of things. So it gives men a chance to kind of have a reflective mirror and kind of, you know how they say iron sharpeneth iron, right? So
Yeah.
we get each other stronger by encouraging each other. And so, the guys who did the forwards, they did an amazing job. And then, Adam and I did what we do. And so it should be a really good mashup. I think it's
Yeah.
a really
Yeah. And again, I really do believe that this is going to be something that answers a lot of questions that have been out there for a while now. And like you said, in particular for men, and for us to be able to see ourselves as we really are, and I think it really does speak to our ability as men to be vulnerable and to be open with who we really are, and
Mm,
and in a way that is helpful, that we
yeah.
can detoxify masculinity in terms of how it appears in some regards, and you can show what it really means to be a man in today's modern society. You know,
That's a lot.
yeah,
I mean, and if you listen, now let me first say this: by no means am I giving us men the innocent pass.
no, not at all.
We don't be innocent, but it is like you said, Adam. Today, there's always been the chore of being a man. Period. Back to our grandfathers, uncles, and the like.
Mhm.
But nowadays, it is personified to a whole other level.
Okay.
And the pressures are different. The expectations have expanded.
Mhm.
I mean, and granted, a lot of it may be based in toxicity, but let's just face it, the trends are supporting the toxic nation. That's
Mhm.
the way the world is trending. It's like it's almost like if you're not coming a little dysfunctionally equipped, you're probably not ready to be with me. Like you need to kind of come with your trouble,
Right.
and the trouble needs to mash up together. Like I said, and so it's different. And so for men, a lot of men have shied away from the traditional exploits of women because a lot of men feel like now it is like you have to do all of these unforeseen things just to be entertained.
Okay.
Like in other words, for them to even go out with you or take you halfway serious or this, that, and the other, you
Right.
got to do all of these things. And the man is like, listen, before we get to there, I need to
Mhm.
know if I like you.
How
So
about-
none of this other stuff matters until we figure out if we like each other. Then we
Right.
can go from there. So I think it's a lot. And then there is the societal thing where it just seems like you there to serve, not to be served.
Wow.
And so if somebody is just there to serve without any reciprocation, like
Mhm.
heck, you look back in those old slavery movies where it had the lady that was sort of like always like she kept the people at the big house's house. You know what I mean? But every
Right.
now and then you would see the lady of the house give a gesture to say, "You go ahead on home, Mabel. You did enough."
Mm.
At least she got a moment, right? But a
Right.
lot of times when it comes to men, it's like you stand on guard all the time. Be
Mhm.
this way, be intuitive, know when I need you, know when you need to spring into action for this, know
Mhm.
when to give me attention, know
Mhm.
when I need you to make me feel special, know this. It's like It's a ton of things, and it's not that it's anything wrong with tending to your woman or your spouse, your wife, or whatever.
Right.
I think what men want all the time is just to know that we are regarded.
Okay. Yeah.
And we're not just there to do a job. We
Right.
get regarded a little bit to understand. I understand it might be a little hard for you in your world, and not everything that you do and should do has to cater to me. And I
Right.
think if men felt that way, they would probably show up a lot differently than what most men do nowadays.
Yeah, no, real talk. Because not to keep going on this, but the reality is that I think sometimes because men are people, and
Yeah.
I know that that's not a revelation to anybody. I didn't just break brand new news, but men are people, which means men have emotions, even though they don't always show them. Often they suppress them, but we feel just like everybody else does, and
Correct.
and we hurt just like everybody else does. We bleed just like everybody else does. And so when you don't regard a man as a person, but you only regard them as providers and protectors and hunters and things of this nature, but you don't see the other side of them,
Mm.
then you're doing them a disservice and yourself a disservice, because now that man, he's fearful of being who he really is, and because of the fact that he doesn't feel as though he can trust you with who he really is. You know what I'm saying? For fear that you might try to exploit him. If he ever shows a side of weakness, if he ever shows a side of emotionalism, if he ever shows a side of vulnerability, then he feels as though that's going to be taken advantage of.
Mm.
And when you do that, he's not going to show you who he really is, because he can't trust you with himself. And I think that's true for anybody. That if you only regard me in one aspect, if you only experience me in one dimension,
Yeah.
then I don't know if I can trust you with these other dimensions, because you seem to be content with this particular aspect of me. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if I'm with somebody who makes me feel comfortable, then I feel secure enough with them to be vulnerable with them, knowing that I can trust them and that they won't try to manipulate me or control me in that way. You know?
And like you said, it's like it's scary, because I know a lot of men have a lot of reserve and things and ways that they feel, but there's this culture now where people, or men rather, just they show up. Like if you're looking at a football field, there's
Mhm.
the end zone on one team, end zone on the other.
Mhm.
And even at base level, the teams start off on a 20-yard line, and then they try to get to the other side.
Mhm.
Nowadays, the men don't even want to come past the 5-yard line in terms of a commitment perspective. Because
Right.
they want to feel, I'm not giving up this much field to you if it doesn't feel earned to me.
Right.
So
Okay.
because men feel like if the more field I give, the more traction I'm going to lose in this game, right? And so people, it's like we shouldn't be in that position, but unfortunately, that's where we are. Where it's like a lot of men feel like, well, you don't really want nothing from me but some sort of provision or some sort of favor or some sort of need, and it doesn't feel like we're meeting in the middle. It feels like this is about accommodation only.
Right.
And I
Okay.
think I always say this all the time, but I feel what makes a lot of relationships work is when they can sense some sort of fair exchange. It doesn't have to be the same exchange, but
Right.
as long as it means something to that man or woman, I think
Right.
it can go a long way for sure.
Yeah. Real talk. Real talk. Yeah. That's real. That's good. That's good.
So that leads us to today's topic. All right. So, Adam, when I think about this topic, it's a little funny, but
Uh-huh.
I think about this topic because I can relate over the years. Over the years, I've been in probably some situations like other people where
Mhm.
you can say to yourself sometimes, I believe we've arrived at a place where we too comfortable. And comfortable means, and I don't mean comfortable in the perspective of we're in a good place in our relationship and we're not complaining, we're not fighting, we're
Mhm.
moving along. I
Yeah.
mean the extreme opposite. We're comfortable with taking one another for granted.
Mm.
And when you get to, because to me, when you get to a place where you feel too comfortable with the other person,
Hmm.
it's almost like a conquering. And we shouldn't look at our partners as something to step over, but to walk with, right? And when you feel like you've conquered the person and you say any kind of thing, try to say this to them or try to, it's so many variables and manipulative means that we use to control one another when we feel we have conquered them in one shape, form, or another. And so it's a touchy little thing. But I think, me personally, I think that comfort and taking somebody for granted thing, it ruins a whole lot of relationships.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because people will feel like, let's just say someone is in a relationship and somebody is giving 100 or whatever they're or trying to give 100% to the person. But if one person or another have found the relationship to now cause them fatigue, and
Hmm.
that emotional fatigue is coming from you feeling like, well, I think I'm at my ceiling with this.
Wow.
So what else is there to do? And
Mhm.
let me just now let me start projecting on my partner or taking them for granted, so to speak, because at the end of the day, we're not just being honest with how we feel. The person that's the offender.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's good. So, and I think, like I said before, and I know we talked about this or whatever like that before the show, and even in previous shows, the fact that it's good to be comfortable with the person that you're with. You don't want to ever feel like you have to walk on eggshells around them every time that you're around them. That's never a good sign when you're in a relationship. You ought to be comfortable. My issue is that, like Charles has already said, when you become too comfortable, or rather, you have become complacent in your relationship with them, meaning that you no longer value them or the things that they do for you. You have a tendency to like you said already, to take them for granted for what they're doing for you, as though you are entitled to it, or it's an expectation that you have that they should always do this all the time without you ever having to say thank you, or I appreciate you, or I'm glad that you did this. You do it, and you take them for granted, and it's and I think for me personally, having been in situations where oh, he's always going to do the right thing, oh, he's always going to make sure this is done, he's always going to make sure that is done. Okay,
Right.
yeah, I try to be reliable, I try to be consistent, you know what I'm saying. I always want to do the right thing, but at the same time, the whole taking me for granted is not going to work for me,
Yeah.
because after a while, I'm going to realize, well, you're not really showing me the appropriate appreciation for what I'm
Mhm.
doing for you.
Right.
And you think I ought to do it for you just because of the fact that you feel entitled to what I'm doing for you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not the case. You should never feel as though you're entitled to anything. The reality is, people do what they do for you because they like you or they love you, and because they do what they do for you, you ought to say thank you to them.
Yeah.
And again, I think I've used this analogy before, but I'll use it again. Whenever my wife cooks me dinner or cooks me breakfast, and she does it on a regular basis, as regardless of her regularity and her consistency with doing that, does not excuse me from showing her the appreciation that I ought to show her every time she does it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think because of the fact that we get so accustomed to somebody being reliable, because isn't that kind of like the reason why we take people for granted? Is because they are as consistent as they are as regular that they are efficient in what they're doing, that we
And
have a tendency
predictable. And predictable.
and predictable. So
Yeah.
we think that when they're doing what they're doing, that they don't, well, you don't really need to thank you for that because you're going to do it anyway.
Wow.
No. Because
Wow.
that says to me, Charles, that says to me, you really don't value me like that.
Yeah.
You're taking me for granted. You're operating under the guise that you are entitled to what I do for you, but you don't really value me in terms of what I do for you. And
Yeah.
not even just what I do for you, because I think a lot of this is it should not be performance based in terms of being in a relationship with somebody that I'm always doing something, but rather the appreciation should come from the fact that I am who I am to you, and I have value to you, and if I have value to you, then I'm going to treat you like you are valuable, right? Like I'm just not going to run roughshod over you and treat you like a welcome mat, but I'm actually going to be like, you know what she does for me, she doesn't have to do. So let me show her how much I appreciate it.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow. You know what? How when you was talking, I was thinking of this. Now, I know people may not grasp this, but I think the problem with a lot of people that arrive at a place that start to take their partner for granted, I feel like a lot of people look at love as a payday. Now, we
Mm.
go to work, we get paid at work, right? We do a job from somebody, we get paid.
Mm.
In love, there isn't a capacity to sit back and say, I'm going to love you this way because I know in 2 weeks you're going to repay me this way. And I
Mm.
think we look at love as it's supposed to be when we're in relationships, when we're in, it could be 6 months, it can be 6 years. We're
Okay.
constantly looking for reciprocation
Okay.
as opposed to loving the person out of whatever capacity you have for them. And I think if you love with constant expectation, you will constantly set yourself up
Mm.
because you're depending on them and you're not relying on your love alone. You
Mm.
should rely on your love. They should rely on their love. And if it's a great thing, the two shall meet.
Yeah.
But if somebody is sitting back saying, now I done been doing this and I done been waiting on no payday, what are we in this for? And
Right.
what does the payday look like? Have we established what the payday is? Like
Mm.
we sit around and we expect this emotional payday, this some sort of elaborate display. For some people, payday is marriage or
Mm.
engagement or whatever, but they're looking for this payday. And it's like, so we get into these things looking for these things, and it's like, what about relating to one another? That's
Right.
what encourages those things. We forget about that part of just making the person like you, period.
Right.
We immediately get into it and just like saying, okay, this is my first day on your job with you. When do I get paid? So it's just like, dang, like, and I'm not talking about monetary. I'm talking about we're looking for pay for something. We want you
Yeah.
to deliver something
Right.
to me. Yeah. And so I
Almost,
think we
almost like pay to play, huh? Pay to play.
correct.
You get to pay. If you pay, then you can
Yeah.
play.
Wow.
You know, what I'm saying? If you pay, then you can play. So, and I know we talk about this. I think we've talked about this before, but yes, relationships should definitely be reciprocal.
Yeah.
There should be an exchange between the two of us. Now, whatever is being exchanged should be valued, right? But not to the point where we are just, and we've talked about this before, not to the point where we are just transactional in
Right.
terms of how we relate to one another.
Right.
Transactions are more or less found in business dealings, right?
Right.
In terms of, paying for goods or paying for products or uh, purchasing intellectual property, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Because we reduce our relationships with each other as transactional,
Yeah.
then this ain't nothing but I'm about to say it and I'm about to mess everybody up with it. This ain't nothing but a daggone trick and a John.
Wow.
This ain't
Wow.
nothing but prostitution if you really think about it.
Wow.
And I know we don't want to necessarily reduce to that, but the reality is if we're being transactional
Yeah.
and there is compensation and remuneration that is taking place within the parameters of that relationship, then it ain't nothing but a transaction between the two of us. So here's the issue, Charles. We need to be able to clearly define the reciprocation that we have with one another and make it distinctive from the transaction that happens in other relationships.
Wow. Man.
You see what I'm
So
saying?
Yeah. No, that's good stuff. Let's segue over to Mr. Bruce.
Okay.
Bruce says, I'm bringing this up. What does it mean to dwell with your wife according to knowledge? You want to take that, sir?
No, you got it. You go for it.
So to me, Bruce, I feel like this means if you are fortunate to find your wife, and I think a lot of us, we tend to go into a lot of these relationships, marriages, engagement, feeling like that happens after I have learned you for 20 years, right? And now we ready to get married. Marriage, you are, and I'm sure you can attend to this, Adam. You're still learning your wife
Right.
years later. And
Yeah.
so what I take from that scripture when I see that is, if you're fortunate to have a wife, it's like God is charging the man to pay close attention to how she moves.
Mhm.
And the way she moves is the way you, as the man, can complement life with her by
Right.
learning those patterns, those temperaments, the good, the bad, and the ugly,
Right.
absorbing all of it and saying, yeah, that's Baba Jean. She'll be up here to get her Coke in a minute. You just wait. You might be joking with your friends watching football, but then like clockwork, she come up there and get that Coke because you learn her. You
Yeah.
learn that she wants something in the morning. She want her coffee. She wants you to go do this, get this. You learn that if I say one thing about her dress or her hair, she might be asking for an opinion, but I know I better not say the real truth or she gonna walk out the door, right? I better tell her.
Not lie.
You better always tell her that. But that's all a part of learning the person. It's almost like we as men have to learn in order to earn and maintain.
Okay. Yeah.
Learn, earn, maintain. Yeah, that's kind of how I look at that. Yeah.
No. You're absolutely that's pretty good. No, you're absolutely right about that in terms of us being in a relationship with a wife, with a spouse, and taking the time out to learn them, not assuming anything,
Yeah.
but actually being patient enough to learn about them so that when you are with them, you don't operate in ignorance
Yeah.
in regards to how you deal with them. Now, it's one thing to date somebody and
Yeah.
you're getting to know them, you're getting to understand them. It's another thing to be within a relationship because now that we are in a relationship, we have established a basic foundation of knowledge of one another by which now we know how to deal with each other. And as the days go on, I'm adding to that knowledge each and every day. So every day I become more and more informed as to who you are, which also means I'm not just relying on past information about you,
Mm.
which is good, but I'm also open to getting updated about you. That
Wow.
the thing that you used to like 15 years ago, you don't like today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That I'm not sitting here giving you something that you used to like that
Yeah.
now you don't like anymore. And it's
Right.
important that we understand that as human beings, we are always growing, which means we're always changing, which means there's always something new to be learned about us
Yeah.
if we're operating in a relationship. Again, this all ties back to the idea of not taking somebody for granted because you think you know them. And because you think you know them, you operate on a basis of information that is out of date.
Yeah.
It has not been updated in 15 years. And so now you're doing things based on this 15-year-old information, and they're frustrated with you
Yeah.
because you haven't taken the time out to learn who they are today.
Yeah. You know what I think us men, I can honestly say what I personally, it's my opinion, where I think a lot of us men go wrong.
Hmm.
Because we are men, and when we desire a person to be in our life or to spend the rest of our lives with us,
Mhm.
the thing we get enthralled with the most is we're immediately trying to groom the person to be how we feel they should be in our
Mhm.
life.
Okay.
Or if we see anything about them, yeah, I need to go ahead on and tell her that I'm not that dude. You wait a minute. We try to establish that dominance to let them know you come. And I don't mean it from a control perspective. I meant
Right.
we establish a line to be like, you my woman, but you got to know this is how I roll. And
Mm.
I'm saying this because of Bruce's comment,
Okay.
because I think that the goal where I think we go wrong is instead of us observing first to
Mhm.
understand,
Yeah.
we lean in to convince to change to fit us. And so I think
Okay.
if we allow ourselves to observe them to say, oh, this is this kind of person, okay, and then see, and as you're seeing their behavior, see if you can tailor the relationship to go in a good direction. Because to be honest, what I've learned, Adam, is it don't matter how much we feel we can groom and finesse a woman to be who we want them to be.
Mm.
Women will be who they are.
Yeah,
Period. And
exactly.
you're gonna find out eventually that she gonna, like they always say, do you. Bruce said you better. No, but no, I'm real talk. A lot of times, see, I can be honest, like with Bruce and I, we've had these talks a lot about when you're meeting someone, your person in your life. Some men look at their lives as a system.
Okay.
And you want to feel like the woman that comes into your life fits into your system of life.
All
And
right.
so that, sometimes as men, we can get really caught up right there at the
Mhm.
system part. And
Okay.
like in the real world, like if we're trying to hire somebody, if you get caught up too much in the questions of what you can sometimes lose the candidate. You overdoing it with too many
Overdoing it. Yeah.
important questions. It's not that deep. Let the person show you who they are. And if it doesn't align, then you go from there. But I
Okay.
think sometimes as men, we're so much concerned at the gatekeeping phase that
Mm.
we forget to observe and pay attention to how they really are and what they could really add to us without us putting our hands in it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't believe in trying to change somebody so that they can fit your life. And I'm not, yeah, I don't think that it has ever worked. Now I've heard about I've heard about projects. I've heard
Build
about
bears.
Build a Bear. I've heard about potential, and
Yeah.
I've heard about promise.
Yeah.
They show some promise.
Promise. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, uh, but here's the reality, though, right? Um, if I don't want to change, I will not change. See,
Wow.
the problem is when we get into relationships, we want to change the other person. But the reality is that in order for that relationship to work, I got to change me.
Yeah.
I have to make myself in such a way that I am able to accommodate them. And by they also must do the same thing, right? If we're going to fit with one another, if we're going to be joined together in this relationship, we have to work on ourselves so that we can accommodate one another. If you are the only person doing the accommodation in the relationship, that relationship is not going to work.
Wow.
If you're the only person making the adjustment in the relationship, listen to me real good, that relationship is not going to work.
Right.
If you're the only one in the relationship changing and
Mm,
rearranging everything else in your life to
mm,
accommodate them, that relationship is not going to work. Why? Because the other person also have to change. If we're both not changing, if we're both not accommodating one another, if we're both not adjusting and readjusting and rearranging ourselves to be able to fit each other's lives, then this thing is not going to work.
yeah.
It can't be just one sided. That's like paving one side of the road. You pave one side of the road, it's good. The other side of the road is full of potholes. You got a gutter down there that's all jacked up. Come on. Traffic in that area is literally not gonna move the way it should move,
Yeah.
or as faster this should move because you got one road that's good and the other road is all jacked up. No, we both have to change in order for this to work. I can't expect you to do all the work. Again, let me segue in right there. I can't take you for granted, expecting you to do all the changing, and I do no changing at all. I just as I am.
Yeah.
Just as I am. This what you see is what you get. Hey.
But there are a lot of people, believe it or not, like when you said a second ago about how we don't, like, you were speaking for yourself, but you was like, I'm not going to try to change somebody. But if we're honest, most of us, when we get in situations with people, the first thing we assess is comfortability. And then we start slow things, whether we know it or not, we're grooming the other person every day we with them. Oh, wait a minute, tell them, wait, hold on. I don't like my food like that. No, I don't keep the heat on 60. No, it gotta be on 67. No, it's like all day long, we tweaking them to let them know, I know how you live, but this is how I live. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and push my way of living on you. And so it's a subtle way, but we are trying to get them to accommodate us. And let's just be honest, most of us, it takes a real big-hearted person to see how you are and to defer to you rather than them. Okay. Most people will come into the situation like, heck, let's just say you come into a place where, whether a woman is moving, let's just say somebody's married, and if the woman is moving into the man's house, make no mistake about it, she's gonna be like, "Oh, this is nice, honey," but immediately, this, immediately, she gonna come and change it because she's gonna change it to her comfortability. Okay. And men do it in a different way. Men are less inclined to come and necessarily, well, I might change in the house. But anyway, men are less inclined to around. Men will come in and they want to establish the comfortable order.
Okay.
First. Women want to establish the environmental peace and order. Men want to establish the order of between. It's like, all right, now we up in here now, okay, all this kind of stuff. And so we want to beat on our chest to a degree. But, we both have to be fair to make one another comfortable. And I think that's the hardest challenge, is that humility and conceding. People don't want to concede or be humble. They want to feel like if they know one party is a little more softer on the other party than the other. Heck, you got spouses that know the wife loved the husband more than he loved the wife, or vice versa. Okay. And people use that to maneuver life. Okay. I can get what I can get out of you, and you can do what I need you to do because I know you crazy about me. And we do in relationships too. And so it's unfair, but that's the way of the world. So I think what we have to do is, when we catch ourselves trying to subconsciously finesse the other person into our way of life, we got to say, am I being fair or am I being selfish?
Yeah.
Go from there.
Yeah. Well, it kind of goes back to what I started out saying at the beginning of the show. And that was the fact that if you don't value the other person, see, if you don't value that other person, then you're not going to change.
Yeah.
Because if I don't value you, then I don't see the need to change. Why should I change? You don't have any worth to me. Who are you to me? Well, why should I change? You don't have any value to me. You don't bring any assets with you. You're not presenting anything to me that will make me go, ooh, or I don't have any interest in you in that kind of way. So if you don't have any value, then why should I change? But see, here's the issue, right? If you do have value, and this is what you have to consider when you get into a relationship. If you do have value to me, then I have a question that I must ask myself. I must ask myself, how far am I willing to go to accommodate your life? Wow. How much change am I willing to accept in order to make room for you to occupy a space in my life? Wow. Because if you're not willing to do that, then what's the point of us even being together, right? Again, it's not about me trying to change you. It's not about me trying to pick this off of you and add this to you, or even moving into your space and then doing all this kind of stuff. No. Because the reality is that if I don't see you as being a valuable asset to my life, if I don't see you in that way, I'm not going to do anything for you.
Mm.
Well, why should I? Because you hold no value to me. And again, I don't want us to ever get away from that idea, because the reality is the reason why we are in a relationship is because the person that we are in a relationship with has value to us. We have walked with them through the course of this relationship. And as a result of that walking through, we have found value in that person. So much so to the point where we realize, you know what? I want them to remain with me. So because I want them to remain with me, I'm going to change.
Wow.
I'm going to open up myself and I'm going to rearrange some things so that they can remain here. And the hope is, here's the hope. The hope is they will do the same thing.
Mm.
That's the reality, right? That's the reason why people get married, right? That's the reason why people have relationships, right? It's because they want to make space for somebody else to come and occupy. I don't want to live my life by myself.
Yeah.
So that means I'm going to have to do some things in order to make room for the person that I want to occupy my space with me.
Good point. Now, here's another nugget to chew on. Look at Dion's comment. Dion said, "I don't want anyone to change, but here's the trick kicker, but to make necessary adjustments."
Okay.
So this is a good point. We're not picking on you, Dion. This is a good point. The reason why, because think about it. On one breath, we say we don't need the person. We don't want them to change.
Okay.
But we want you to make necessary adjustments.
Okay.
Necessary to me is absolute. It's a requirement.
Yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of times we meet people and we see that they don't meet the requirement. But then we sit back and say, I'm not trying to change you, but if you want to be in this, you should. Instead of us saying, I like you, you're cool, but I can already tell through life's experience, this don't meet the requirements. We don't say that, right? We don't, oh, and she said not for me before relationship. It's the same thing. It's the same. I mean, it's basically if the person doesn't change for the relationship, they're not changing for you, essentially. Because the relationship is you and them. So if I'm not making those changes in the relationship or the marriage, I'm not doing them for you. So I think I'm only using this as a teaching point because we need to start making a hard stop at the requirements not being there. That's not to say people can't change, or if you have the conversation, people can make adjustments.
Yeah.
But in most cases, we know we are dealing with people who got hard stops at requirements and they don't meet them. But we sit there and we'd be like, yeah, well, I'm gonna. I mean, yeah, well, yeah. And if you had to be honest and look in the mirror, I don't think this person will meet the requirement. I don't think they want to. But if they really want to value me, go back to what you said. If like you said, value shows value.
Yeah.
If you see value, you praise value. If you don't, you become, she says a hard stop. See, that's what I'm saying. So we got to learn to deal with that like that, because a lot of times in our life, and if we don't see enough people dying and all this stuff, random people dying from all sorts of different age groups and health conditions, it's like the crazy part of us feel like we have time to gamble, but we don't, right? But we think we do. We think we have infinite time to gamble on our preferences and what we do. And well, maybe I'll drag this out a little bit. No, we need to learn to say, I really don't think this person, and it's not about them or me, but I don't think they have what I see as a requirement to make this work.
Okay.
And I don't want to feel like I have to push a grown person to acknowledge that.
Right. Yeah. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking in my head, I'm having a conversation with the whole idea of wanting a person to change, and then juxtaposed to that is the idea of um, basic requirements for the relationship, and in order for those requirements to be met, there has to be a change.
Mm.
So here's my dilemma a little bit with this idea, and because they're not diametrically opposed to each other. There's, there's a little bit of
Yeah.
a budding, right? So on the one hand, uh, if I want to be with you, and I'm even thinking about my own personal relationship, right? If I want to be with you, then that means that there are going to be some things that I have to change about me,
Yeah.
but then there are also going to be some things that you yourself are going to have to change. Now, I understand that. I realize that. And even before getting into the whole dating thing, there are some things that we say as people before we step out into the dating field that we say, okay, these are my deal breakers. We need to spend time with each other. We have to talk to each other. We need to make sure that we're on the same page. We should be of the same faith. You know what I'm saying? All that he should be financially stable. She should have a job, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So in all of these things, we have to understand and realize and recognize that if somebody's going to be with me, and this is the point of honesty that we have to have with ourselves. It's a point of transparency that we have to acknowledge. That if somebody's going to be with me, then they have to be willing to change in order for me to occupy a space in their life. Right. And I think this is just something that you have to be honest about. And let's not sit here and try to act like we can kind of like gloss over this, because the reality is that if we don't address this, then that next person that comes through into our lives, we're not going to be honest with them because we haven't been honest with ourselves with what we are expecting from them in terms of these basic requirements. Right. And if this person comes through and they don't have it, that's not to say that they can't change to get it.
Right.
And I think here's my problem. Here's my dilemma. The problem comes in is, do I say it to them? Hey, babe, hey, I need this to happen with us. So can you make that adjustment? Can you make that change? You see what I'm saying? Because now on one end, not that it is self-serving, it's not really self-serving, but at the same time, if you want to occupy the space with me, then this has to change. You see what I'm saying? Whereas on the other side of it, the idea is the hope that they will see what they need to change and actually change it. Now, here's the thing. If I don't say that you need to change, how do you know that you need to change?
Here's my problem with all of this, Adam. I have crossed this ship before. Listen. The only problem, what you're saying is nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
So the problem I have with it is, who is the authority to say, I'm not requesting something from you outside of my own dysfunction?
Okay.
You could be wanting me to change to fit your dysfunction, not to change to strengthen the relationship.
Okay.
A lot of people show up to the relationship broken down. And what they want to do is easier for me to say, no, come on down here and rest right here and look at the 19-inch TV with me. Mm-hmm. And the person is like, no, you do the necessary things to come up here and look at the 85-inch with me. So how do we meet in the middle? But that's what I mean when it comes to saying that the issue is, yeah, the person, you could be saying to the person, you think you can do this? I think a way to approach it is to maybe say, is it a little off-putting, or am I somewhat on the right track if I think if you and I can make adjustments in this area, that we may turn out a lot better?
Yeah.
But because I think if one person is always, if there's one person always trying to tweak the other person, there's
Mhm.
one thing happening. Someone is settling
Okay.
because the person they're trying to tweak don't have all the things that they need. That's
Hmm.
just the bottom line. If you're constantly going from A to Z, then that person doesn't align with you because true alignment doesn't take a lot of tweaking to fall into place. But if you're what I'm saying is, if you're Adam, you need to let me tell you something. If you was this kind of man, and then if you was that kind of man, and if you did this, and then after a while you're gonna be like, well, Negro, why do you tweak? Because obviously I don't fit this at all.
Right. I
I'm
get
not
what you-
saying that we don't have anal things about us that'll get on somebody's nerves. That's different. I'm not
Okay.
talking about somebody saying, "Now, why you ain't? You told me you're gonna wash the car." I'm not talking about that. I'm
Right.
talking about life characteristics that you
Yeah.
just not gonna change every day.
Yeah.
Especially as a grown person, those things about you are who you are.
Right.
Like, listen, for Maria to say, Adam,
Lord, you better watch out.
I'm putting the fence up by the basement because I'm done with you watching TV down there with the games. You'll be like, my point is, you'll have a whole conniption. You're like, that's my safe space. But the point is, that's the essential of someone doing that to you to be like, dang, what's up?
But okay, so again, here we go. We're going back and forth with this idea, right? So,
All right.
so here's the thing, though, right? So, again, I believe that it ought to come out of a conversation that says, "Hey, I need you to make an adjustment for us
Wow.
to be able to work.
Okay.
I need you to make a change so that we are good. I need you to make a change in order to streamline the dynamic that we have with one another."
Yeah.
You know? And again, I think when you approach it like that, because like you said, and I do agree with you on this point. So there are those of us who are in relationships, a part of relationships, have been a part of relationships where we were the only ones changing because the other person was manipulating us in a way in order to get what they wanted.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And so they're not doing any changing, but they're expecting us to make all the changes. Well, hopefully at some point in time, your discernment ought to kick in and be like, you know what? You need to get out of this because you're not getting no benefit from this at all. There is no return on this. You need to run for the hills as soon as you can. Okay. But a healthy relationship is not one-sided. A healthy relationship has it on both sides.
Yeah.
Okay. Where she's saying, okay, you doing this, I'm going to do that. And I'm saying, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Because we both realize that we see value in one another, but we also see the value in having our relationship. And so, in order for the relationship to be what it's supposed to be, then that means I'm going to do something to ensure that the relationship is viable, healthy, and whole so that it can continue on. And I think that's where it really is. There has to be a mutual sense of willingness on both parts. That it's not just one person doing it all themselves, but it's the both of us
Yeah.
doing it together. That we are working synergistically together with one another in order to make this work. It's not just on you and it's not just on me. It's on both of us working together that I'm changing. I'm rearranging. As a matter of fact, let me rephrase that. We are changing. We are rearranging ourselves in order to better accommodate one another in our relationship.
I think once again, Dion is still in the show again. Dion said, that's why this is a good point. That's why I said, not for me, but like, don't change for me, but change for the relationship.
Yeah.
He said it's called mutual submission. And that's what I feel like you were describing as mutual submission.
Yeah.
And so what I look at it when it comes to mutual submission, when two people fail to mutually submit, that means that doesn't happen because there is a singular party that's still immature.
Mm.
And you mutually like submission comes from maturity.
Yeah.
Someone who sees the benefit of it or
Yeah.
have learned there is a benefit to mutually submit. If you don't, you're going. That's where the terminology of "I'm gonna do me," which is and to me, I think we've adopted a very immature terminology. I'm doing me.
Wow.
That says I have the inability to connect and mutually submit
Wow.
because I don't even want to see your way. I'm gonna do me. So I think we need to look at it like that and say, listen, if we can't, if together we can't mutually submit, then maybe together you can immaturely submit with that person because both
Mm.
of y'all are aligned.
Mm.
Sometimes it's that simple. Two
Mhm.
immature people will align.
Right.
Two mature folks will align. So
Right.
it just depends. So just where you end up at. But a lot of times we find ourselves in these relationships where, and some of us like to be the teacher and the pupil, and no one is growing in that scenario.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being in a class like in high school, you with your high school teacher throughout your whole life? Now he or she is 20, 30 years older than you, so they have a different knowledge set,
All right.
right? A different experience set, but you just there going along to get along, but nobody's really learning from one another because they can't learn much from you, and
Right.
you trying to learn what you can from them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. To kind of like go back to the whole idea of the whole the submission thing. That was a really good point, Charles. Really good point in terms of it taking humility and you're doing me. I'm doing me is a very selfish mindset. That there is obviously, like you said, immaturity there and an unwillingness to be submitted to someone else. But what I was going to say about the whole change thing in regards to us changing and to accommodate one another, and I don't want anybody to be fooled by change because if we're honest as people, change is not easy. Change is hard, especially when you've been doing something for a period of time. Hello, somebody. You've been doing this how long? And now you want me to change? Y'all know that saying. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Y'all know. Y'all know. I try not to be that old dog, but sometimes every now and again, Charles, I'm that old dog that you can't teach new tricks to. But the reality is that again, as I see value in the person that I am changing for, if I see value in the relationship that I'm changing for, then I put in the time. I invest the effort to make the change. No, it's not easy. No, it will not happen overnight or instantaneously. But if I put my time in to changing me one bit at a time, it will come to pass. It will manifest in me. It will be a reality as I continue to work on it. And I think when somebody says that they're going to change and they're working on it, the best thing that we can do as people who are waiting on the change is just that. Wait on the change.
If it's worth it to you to wait, though.
If it's worth it to you. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. If it's worth it to you. If it's not worth it to you, then you're going to be impatient and you're going to be frustrated. But if I see the value in you, then I'm not going to sit here and try to accelerate the change. I'm going to allow the change to take the time necessary in order to be an effective change in your life so that our relationship can work the way that it's supposed to work. And so I just wanted to kind of encourage us to kind of be patient with our loved ones that we are in relationship with. Stop being so frustrated with them when they're not doing it exactly as you want them to do it. Allow them the grace that you would expect to be able to work on themselves so that they can be a better version of themselves for you in the relationship. How about that?
I think that's a good point you're making. I think a lot of people are looking at life like, look, I don't, if we'll be lying if we didn't say people don't always be saying things like, I don't have time, especially when you get to a certain age range.
Yeah.
People's patience get lessened because they're older, so they feel like, I know I'm griping a bit about this relationship, but I'm not getting any younger. So I need to know, are we on par or not?
Right.
And I think that's where we get a little testy. People, relationships get a little rough because people are wanting to realize: are you in this for the long haul, or are we going to nickel and dime this for the rest of our life? You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean. But then that's why I say it in terms of us having a little grace for the person who's trying to make the adjustment. Because again, if they've been that way for a period of time, they're not going to be just able to do that change or make that change as expediently as you would have them to. They're not going to be able to make that change as soon as you would have them to, which means it's going to require you to exhibit a level of maturity that you show patience and grace for the person that's making the change. Just like you would expect grace and patience from them if you were making the change, you have to give them the same measure of grace and patience so that they can make that change. Again, if you see value in this. If you don't see any value in this, you ain't going to do it. As a matter of fact, the next day, you're going to be frustrated because they haven't made the change yet. Let's be real. I mean, you know.
And you know, here's another part that we have to smack our own selves on the wrist about. Sometimes we get mad because people don't change or evolve when we want them to, because we're already intimately invested.
Right.
There are intimate decisions and there are non-intimate decisions.
Okay.
There are ways you can live your life and walk away or not deal with someone if you're not intimately involved. But when you're intimately involved, I mean, I wish you just stop. I mean, now you harping over this because that soul tie is prohibiting you from making that sound decision. That you would normally say, you cool, but it's probably not gonna work out between me and you. I like you though, but you good luck in life.
Right.
But once we become intimate, now we got a whole different set of luggage that we carrying with us. And our movements become slower and slower. The more intimate you become, the more bogged down you become. And that's why a lot of times a lot of people aren't able to get to their payday because they bog down with intimacy.
Wow.
And intimacy will twist your emotions up, twist your thinking, your mind, and you're not thinking clearly. You're not thinking rational. You're not making standardized decisions. You're making low self-esteem decisions.
Okay.
So we got to think about it from that perspective.
Yeah, because now that I mean, you know, so basically, your decision making mechanism is
it's tied.
It ain't working the way it's supposed to be working.
Yeah, it is. Look, if we honest, most of our decisions come from down under. That's the doctor. Rarely do they come from up above.
Okay.
Most of our decision making is like, but don't leave. Why you say that? That's most of the decisions. Because if we ignore the lower extremities, we be like, well, you guess what? I'm not going to fight with you. Peace out.
Right.
Bye.
Wow.
But the lower extremities, you're going to be like, is dropping out. That's going to be it. It's a wrap. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, gosh. Well, no, this was good.
Yeah, that's good.
Once again, people, we appreciate you guys for tuning in to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, where today we started out talking about being too comfortable, and we ended up talking about conform to my way or it's the highway. But anyway, no, we want to reiterate to you guys, though, for real talk. Support your boys. Get the book. Get the book. We have a website coming, and that'll be here in a few days.
Yeah.
And you can get the book off. There's a few places you can get the book, but definitely go to Amazon or all the the online outlets and get the books, and support. And because what we're going to do in the upcoming weeks is we'll have some shows centered around some chapters, so we can have discussions and things like that from the book.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sure enough. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. So we do have a couple of things that we need to make an announcement for, but
or discuss rather. All right, no, I'm just saying. Go ahead. I'm just teasing you.
No, so real quick, we need to take care of some home stuff first. You want to do the change first, or do you want to do some other stuff first? What do you want to
Well,
do?
let's talk about the change. Then you can go to the other stuff. All right. So,
Well,
people, here's what we're thinking, and we really want you all's opinion, and
yes.
we're going to give it a couple of days to see your responses, because I know sometimes people watch the rewatch later and different things like that. So we started out with the show on Thursday, and that was a good time and a good slot, I guess, for the most part, that worked for most people.
Mhm.
And of course, work, I know for me, I had some work things to rearrange that made my schedule a little difficult on Thursdays.
Right.
So Fridays was kind of like the day I could say, when we can do Friday at this time. And Adam and I were thinking, is Friday the day? We just want y'all to say, help us with this. Do you think Friday is a good day, or do you think Saturday would be a good day?
Right.
And I know Saturday is the weekend and people got different things happening. And I know Friday people got things happening.
Mhm.
So what we're trying to find out, just out of curiosity, just some preference. Heck, throw out a day, even if we might have to shift something else. But what are some days between Friday and Saturday that you guys think would be the good? Is Friday good, or is Saturday better? Heck, is Sunday a day? Just curious, just out of curiosity. After church, Adam.
Man, I'm going to. Arlena has a good idea. You ought to create a poll. That'll help us kind of like go through the process of figuring out what's the best day. But that's
an e-poll or something. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah. Thanks, Marlena. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Marlena like a teacher's pet with the apple. You know, she one of them teacher's pets. I got the apple teacher. I have the apple. No, I'm just kidding, Molly.
Wow.
Kidding, no. But that's a good idea. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea to kind of like get a poll, take a survey, find out, what day the audience would love to be able to see us on, what works for them in terms of. And here's the thing, though, too, with all this, keep in mind the fact that we are streaming, that you can access us on your tablet, on your phone, on your computer, on your laptop. So you're not restricted in terms of location. It's just a matter of figuring out what time. So if you're at work, maybe you can listen to us while you're at work with your earbud in your ear or whatever like that. So just keep that in mind in terms of when you're trying to figure out what day would be a good day for us to come and have a conversation and everything like that. All right. Cool.
Now, you go ahead, Adam.
My turn? So the book has been released, everybody. No. We already did that. But yeah, we do want you guys to support us in the release of the book. You can definitely go to Amazon to purchase the book today. It is available. It was available yesterday. It's available today. So please, sir, please, ma'am, help your brothers out. Show your brothers some love and some support, and go and purchase the book as soon as you can. So on next weekend, next Saturday, at 11 a.m. Guess what? Your boys gonna be together. We're gonna be live in Aurora, Illinois. We're gonna be live. It's gonna be a live stream. It's gonna be at Haven Ministries. That's 1029 Kane Street in Aurora, Illinois. The Know Better, Do Better podcast, Unique Perspective Love Talk Radio. We're gonna be there, and we want everybody to come out. And if you're not able to actually come physically, you can definitely still tune in online. We're going to be streaming it live so that everybody can still participate in the conversation. So we want you guys to participate in this. We want you guys to comment, ask questions. But if you're in the area, if you're in Illinois, come on down to 1029 Kane Street in Aurora, Illinois, Haven Christian Ministries. We're also going to be signing our books. We're going to be signing our books at the live stream, right? So if you want to sign book, this is
okay, all right, okay.
Promoting his book.
Hey,
get your boy.
Miss Valerie, is there going to be a Aurora police on hand? Okay, just one.
We can call them for you. We can definitely call them for you since you want to act like this. Oh my God. Anyway, let me get back to my the No Better Do Better podcast, Unique Perspective Love Talk Radio, October the 25th at 11 a.m. from 11 to 1 p.m. Again, 1029 Kane Street in Aurora, Illinois. Come out, sir. Come out, ma'am. I guarantee you will appreciate it. And again, we are going to be selling and signing our books in person. So come on out and support that. All right, what's next? What else do I have here? What else do I have here? In regards to that, if you guys could DM me, if you're going to be in the area and you would love to come out, just give me a heads up so I can get a head count so we can know how much provisions, because there's going to be food there. Oh, did I forget to tell you? Yeah, there's going to be food there. If you want to come out and support, let me know so I can get a head count so that we can have enough provisions for everybody to come and be fully satisfied, okay? So again, DM me if you want to come out and participate so that way we can have a head count as to how many people are going to be showing up and everything like that. All right. What else? I think that's it for me. Okay. Yeah.
That's it.
I think I got everything out. Yeah. Yep. See, Valerie said food will be provided. Yep. October the 25th. That's where we're gonna be. We are excited about it. It's gonna be a good time. Again, my brother Charles, he's gonna be in the area. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a nice little show, little music, little food, little conversation, little talk, you know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be good. I can't believe how much he's hating right now. I don't even understand. I don't even understand where the hate is. Maybe because he's light skinned. I don't know.
Oh God.
This is his book, and he's such a hater.
Anyway, yeah.
Anyway.
It's gonna be. We're gonna speak it to be well and fine. Just let it be like.
It's going to be well and fine if you was just stop the hate. Oh my God, are you serious right now?
Okay, it'll be well and fine. All right.
Jeez.
And on that note, thank you guys again. I guess we'll get ready to go on over to the other side, but we will see you guys here shortly before we wrap it up. All right. Yeah. All right. So, if you can't get them to do what you want them to do from up here,
you know what, fool? Oh
get them to do what you want to do from down here. That's it. And that's the end of the show.
I can't with this fool. Y'all see what I got to deal with? And this is what we've been dealing with for the last almost 8, 9, 10 months.
Oh, gosh.
This is what I've been dealing with for the last 8 or 9 months now. Him. This is what I deal with. Y'all don't see this side. I see this side. Every time I got to deal with them, this is what I get.
Oh,
God. The book came out.
Oh, you're right. I'm trying to tell you.
Jesus.
Oh, Lord. All right, y'all. So Adam.
Yeah.
Are we going to do the show next week?
That's what I was about to ask you before we got online. But we need to talk about that later.
We can work that out. We
can figure that out.
All right, folks. See y'all next time. Peace.
Bye.